We continue our conference. Our next speaker is already joining us from wonderful RBI company. This is the Vice President for Sales and Services at RBI. Dima, I've given you the possibility to start the broadcasting, and we are going to discuss the way RBI experienced the work with storytelling in order to provide the consistent model of interaction with clients. Dima, hi. Hi, Artem. Unfortunately, somehow I cannot switch on the video, but I have a presentation, and this will do. We'll see your smile once again on the monitor, and once you're ready, we can switch on the presentation, and let's give the round of applause to Dima to support him. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Well, unfortunately, it hasn't started for me so smooth, but that's not the key issue right now. My video, I have that this minor technical bug will be the biggest problem. Can your turn please switch on my slides? Oh, yeah, here we see them. So, what I'm going to talk about, first of all, I'll present my company to give you an overview. RBI is the development company. We are not building the square meters, but we really have the real estate that is art. For 32 years, we've been present on the market, and we are only locally present in St. Petersburg. As of now, we have an enormous amount of families who already living in the buildings that we've created. And today I will tell you about the way we use storytelling as instrument. And this is not an instrument that is used by just several employees. This is an instrument that is applied by all the team members on different stages of work. I constantly reiterate that a flat is the most difficult product to create. It has the longest life cycle. For several years, we are working with the clients, and this was actually is quite difficult. Here you can see our project, and selling real estate that needs to that is designed to change the world for the better. This type of sales should be different. It cannot be just bought and sold as all other flats. Because here we are really talking about art, not just square meters. This is where the stories come in handy when we try to show why a client should choose us. We sell emotions at every contact point with the clients. We have a very long life cycle of the interaction with the client. So from the very first call of a client, and then the sales, after sales, maintenance, and this whole very long life cycle. So even during this happily ever after, this is where we still communicate with the client. This is our whole sales team. This is our office in the very heart of St. Petersburg at Levashovsky bakery plant. And those are not all people we have, that those are people who communicate with our clients, who support our client experience throughout their client journey with our company. So we actually even represent the property management company that we have. Actually, property management company. We actually then um, maintain the quality of the services that we provide for those who already bought our flats. What is crucial? All those who work with the clients, we have the same principles. Well, first of all, we interact from the heart to the heart. We interact with our clients not as representatives of the company, not as employees, but as a person who speaks to a person. Also, apart from that, we believe very strongly in accountability, in continuous improvement and development, aesthetics, and truly love to the product. And finally, we are going close to our topic today. So, at every brand touchpoint, we create memorable experience for our customers, built with care and genuine emotions. They naturally want to share with others. Not somewhere in the future, and the client already gets the keys and gets the flat. No, this is not the emotions are shared. No, at every touch point, every time they interact with a brand, people should have these emotions. And now, I need your attention. How can we create experience and emotion? How we can translate our mission to the clients, surely through the stories. So from the very beginning, from the moment of introduction, we try to foster this interaction from stories through storytelling. For the stories we share, we show the evidence of our commitments. Actually, all our stories, they answer the same question, more or less, why we are doing what we are doing. And actually, it helps to foster the proper contact with our clients. Clients can share and they can be part of our business goals and so on. At the very moment then people they decide to buy something from the real estate, they are quite nervous, they have their doubts because it's really expensive. Many people they buy real estate only once in their lifetime. So this is why sometimes it's really important to buy from the company that shares the values that are very close to you, that resonates with you, that creates a safer space for such a purchase. We know the techniques uh, of storytelling, so surely we all are aware that we don't lie to our clients. I believe this is not what we should discuss. If we just tell our clients, we say like, "Hey, we don't lie," it will be always like, "Hey, I know you all say you are not lying." Well, we really want to make people feel safe with us, that we feel that we are indeed not lying with our stories, with our promises. This is their stories can really help us. Development is a very difficult business. We are all well aware. We have the state regulations, lots of external dependencies, and throughout time, throughout the life cycle of a project, and usually developing project takes on average 7 years till the lot was from the moment the lot was bought and then throughout the whole construction time and so on. No, this is a very long period. So many factors they change throughout those 7 years, and it's indeed the crucial thing was to make it stay as it was promised. So then we promise something to people. We cannot just say, "Hey, we'll do as promised." We really need stories that will prove. And those should be stories, maybe the most classical ones that really show the hero journey and so on. So for us, stories they can prove how we work and to make the client this confident decision about buying from us. It's important also that all um, team members should have the access to stories and they should all use this instrument. And stories, they can be different in content, but the meaning, the essence should be the same. Our clients, they interact with different clients, well, with different team members, with different employees, but we need to get the same message from them. If the stories are shared, they can be different. The plot twists can be different, but the general message that will contribute to this confidence, they should be the same. Those messages. What are the main tasks for us? We wanted to train all of the employees how to tell stories. We had webinars, we had trainings, for example. And so technically, it was quite easy. So once again, I want to thank them for helping us out. But then we had to think about the content where we can find stories so that we would be natural, very organic, so that we would be available to all of the team members. And at the same time, they would be stories with the same message, as I already mentioned, so that we wouldn't contradict each other. So that the same stories would be reiterated. So how we've started, we've decided to ask everyone involved because the best stories are inside. We worked with all of the stakeholders that we had, different employees. So with what stakeholders, with what employees we've talked to those who worked on some project throughout the whole project, throughout the whole journey. Starting with the project, then for construction, those different project managers for what selling and buying procedures. So we've discussed their experience and then we created stories that would be beneficial for us. This was the very first step to bring this gear interaction. This was like the bare minimum that we could start with. So the stories, they exist in the companies and they should become the instrument for the employees to be available. And how we proceed with those stories, I will share a bit later. We thought that this interviewing of employees was not enough. We actually decided to go even further to have a bit more variety in our content. We decided to bring in with experts. For example, we've worked with Roman Gerasimov, who is the history expert in the field of architecture. So he had the deep dive into the quarters where we were locating our buildings, and he was exploring the history of those quarters. And together with him, we've created the whole cycle of those stories related to the historical context that are very closely connected to this, to our project, our buildings. They are very closely connected to this historical background, this historical heritage. Actually, when you learn more about the history of a place, it changes your attitude to the place, and it changes your attitude to the project. Now we have a wonderful project of residents in Vrepino. This is a small village near the Bay of Finland. It's like 2 steps away from the Gulf of Finland, and the locals, they know a lot. They don't have any explanations. This is a place where the allied, the top artists were residing during the summer. The most incredible events took place there in this small village of Repino near the Gulf of Finland, near St. Petersburg. For example, certain very famous uh, artists who were enjoying the views there, and afterwards we were writing their greatest poems and greatest um, fiction essays. For example, um, one of the top artists from St. Petersburg, from the Russian Empire, lived there, and he later on this village received his name, so it was named in his behalf, Repin. He was one of the most famous persons back then, top artist with very interesting behavior. And actually, when they share those stories, people who are not aware of this whole history of a place, they when they learn it, they have their attitude to the place transformed. So then we share these stories. We actually invite the customers to this absolutely unique community. They become a part of the history. We were not there of this whole situation. How we can make stories available to everyone in the company? This was the question. Now, first of all, we created the channel and Telegram. So every session, our colleagues, they record audios, they transcribe them, and then we also have the story sharing sessions. All the stories are available in all our information channels where we work with our partners, different real estate agents. So to with price list, with all the agreements, we also share the story. So all of our partners that are working with us as real estate agents, they have the access to the whole scope of the stories that we've accumulated. And those stories, they actually help to learn more about the real essence of our project, of our flats and buildings that we create. So actually, and those stories, what is important to mention, they are not just created out of the blue, they are real stories. And we're really proud of the thing that all the agents have the success. For them, this content is also very needed. And which is a living creature right now. We constantly fill our bank of stories. So what is important is to stay consistent, to keep on triggering stories, accumulate and say them, and make it available to each and everyone. So step by step, with consistent work, storytelling can become not only the instrument for sales, but for the proper motivation. And this is it I wanted to share with you today. Thank you very much for having me. And once again, excuse me for my lack of video. I don't know what has happened with my camera, but I beg your pardon for that. Thank you very much for your speech. Thank you for sharing the way you support these practices. It's you have a system. You have the company has your support. As representative C-level, please read the questions in the chat. I really like the way you described this wonderful village near the Gulf of Finland. Um, can you probably share the stories that are related to this selection of flats? So maybe there are some stories and people buy. Um, yeah, so about the decision making. So about the cultural stories, history-related stories, that's more clear. Can you tell more about those stories that show that you are really committed and you really will hold on to your promises? So here, this is a photo of our team near our office. This is the futuristic project. This is on Petrogradsky district in St. Petersburg. It's one of the top locations in St. Petersburg right now. It is the previous plant bakery, and the owner wanted to sell two plots here. One plot was for the real estate, and other had those historical buildings of plant bakery. So surely we could use this building commercially. We had the project, one of the projects that we could have apartments there at this previously used this building that was previously used as plant bakery, but we decided to follow another way. We wanted to have to provide the access to the general public to this wonderful historical building together with history history expert Lev Luria, a very prominent person in the city. We've decided to organize the educational facility here. We have the school here that's called Masters, and we have the place for public talk and so on. Yeah, we located our office here, but part of these buildings, they are now publicly available. We have exhibitions there, so we've not decided to have it for commercial use as such. And it's such a great thing that not only we enjoy this wonderful location, but actually we managed to provide this access to everyone. Just after this conference, I will go to the main square, enjoy some fresh air, maybe take a drink under one of those sunscreens, sun umbrellas, and just have a nice view. And when our clients go to our office, they also go to this central office that is so nicely restored, that is actually indeed the monument to our approach to history, to city, to restoration, to buildings. So you can understand that here the requirements when we were working on those buildings and their restoration were very high because those are the historical buildings, and we need to support them also really on a very high level. These buildings were created in the style that is called constructivism, and it only existed for like 10 years in St. Petersburg in 1920s, 1930s. And architecture specialists, they visit Russian Federation and St. Petersburg in order to enjoy these very rare avant-garde and constructivism buildings. So actually, the very thing that those buildings are saved, they show our attitude to things and to our work. I remember one of our first sessions there, I participated as a moderator, and we were uh, discussing this story exactly. That is still very nice. How do you understand that that your employees are actually using storage? Do you have a kind of a tracking or a monitoring? We have analytics, yeah. We even have a kind of a checklist that AI is using to assess the call or meeting. It has a story as part of a checklist. This is a mandatory part. It's part of the communication. Story should be a part of the first call or the first meeting. The contact of those chats, of those meetings is being analyzed by AI. Is what we've been using throughout the last 18 months. Previously, we also relied on the feedback from our clients. And we also see that that our employees, they are sure that stories are working, and this is why they really want to share stories. So it's quite easy to persuade them to use stories. We don't need to persuade, we don't need to control, we don't need to make them use stories, but they just feel that it works. As part of my job, I really needed to motivate people, to inspire them, to show them why stories matter and why they should be used. Um, I showed it in my from my own experience during the town halls or some team meetings. I was using stories, and this what mattered. This was part of my day-to-day routine, and the others they just caught up. So you need to be an example. You need to motivate and also have kind of observability. That's great. And one more question from Irina. Have you conducted this survey? Do you analyze the feedback from the clients? What was the impact on the communication with clients for stories? It's hard to imagine because it's just part of communication. I mean, these stories. Oh, well, we check promoter score index on 6 stages of interaction with company: purchase, buying, passage of the keys, the first year after, then 5 years timeline, and and the um, next milestones. When we check the score, there is the field where you can write what has influenced your purchase. When people are saying everything is fine, you have this and that, usually this is what they write, and they say like that they were welcomed, they had flowers, fresh flowers that are actually gathered, they're handpicked by the florist who is living nearby. Because we have music, but we have this beautiful flowers. And when I read this, I believe that's not only the observation skills of the customers. This is probably the evidence that something has been told. Rarely anyone says like, "Hey, the story influenced." The story should be really embedded in the conversation, but we have these indirect signs that show that there were stories that influenced. Oh, this is interesting. I like this idea of indirect hints. In sales effectiveness, we always try to measure all the things. But with the stories, it's a bit more difficult to do some measurements. We have one question from Ekaterina. Have you noticed some changes in communications within the company? Once this bank of stories has been introduced, I believe when we use stories for external communications, um, it become it becomes a very good stimulus for using stories in internal communications. Yeah, we have this as well. Indeed, um, people who are not working with front office, like in 2 p.m. most of the time, I have a session on loyalty, um, where we work with hard skills, soft skills, and where we do everything possible to make back office also part of our client journey. We want all the company members to be part of our brand and be our brand ambassadors. The stories, they are shared. They are common for everyone. And all of the employees, they get this access to instrument. That's not an instrument of sales. That's an instrument of interaction. This is how I describe it. So I have one sales team, and this are the operators of the contact team, and they actually are not selling anything. Well, I would also like to mention that even those who are part of the property management, we also actually part of the sales of a story sharing. So stories they became the general instrument that they. Thank you very much for your talk, for your systematic and holistic approach. Thank you for wonderful speech. Dina, thank you very much indeed. And one more question from me, the traditional one. So, these stories can be applied to many tasks, to culture, to sales, the client journey. Well, let's imagine we have only one task that you can be solving as a corporate director using stories. What task it would be? Just well, probably the work with the clients. Why? As we all know from the theory, you cannot pass the meaning just with any means. You cannot sometimes even formulate the meaning and just pass it. It doesn't work. Other, Otherwise, it just becomes the white noise and that's it. So this connection between the company and the client is really important, and it can be done through stories. The world is changing right now, and we have a very complex product. Um, and without having stories, it's really hard to communicate. You cannot transmit all of the uh, senses. Well, it's easy to buy a pie and get disappointed. It's a set, but that's okay. But if you buy a flat and you get disappointed, this would be a real disaster. For example, if the developer wasn't really caring about your expectations or you had deep misunderstanding in the very first stage of your contact. It's not really about the demands, like what type of conveniences you are to have in the flat. It's really about the proper formation of estimations, and then you need to live up to those expectations that you've got. Thank you very much, Rima, for joining us. Thank you for sharing your experience. It was indeed very interesting for me as well. Thank you very much.